James had just settled into his dream home, a charming house in a quiet suburban neighborhood where manicured lawns and uniform aesthetics promised a peaceful escape from the city's chaos. The HOA ensured everything stayed pristine, and James thought he'd found paradise. That is, until he met Linda, the HOA president and self-proclaimed queen of the block. Linda didn't just enforce rules, she bent them to her will, making life hell for anyone who dared cross her. When her massive SUV started blocking James's garage, a war began, one that would end with a perfectly executed, jaw-dropping act of revenge that left the neighborhood buzzing. Linda wasn't your average neighbor. With her perfectly styled brunette bob, designer sunglasses, and an air of untouchable authority, she strutted through the streets like royalty. James met her on move-in day, unloading boxes in his driveway when she appeared, arms crossed, eyeing him like he'd already broken some sacred rule. "I assume you've read the HOA guidelines?" she asked, her voice dripping with condescension. James, wiping sweat from his brow, nodded. "Yeah, I skimmed them. Pretty standard." Linda's smile was sharp, like a predator sizing up prey. "Good. I ensure everyone follows them." She turned and left, leaving James uneasy but shrugging it off. Every neighborhood had a Linda, right? Wrong. A few days later, James stepped out for work, coffee in hand, only to freeze. A gleaming black Range Rover was parked directly across his garage, blocking his car. No note, no owner in sight. After knocking on doors, he found Linda pruning her roses, serene as ever. "Morning," she chirped. "Is that your SUV blocking my garage?" James asked, trying to stay calm. Linda barely glanced up. "Oh, that? I was just dropping something off. Don't be dramatic." She waved him off, promising it wouldn't happen again. James clenched his jaw but let it slide. A one-time mistake, he told himself. It wasn't. Days later, the same Range Rover sat smugly in his way. This time, James marched to Linda's house, ringing her doorbell. She answered, coffee in hand, unfazed. "Linda, you're blocking my garage again." "I'm stuck," he said, voice tight. She sipped her coffee, smirking. "Relax, it's just for a moment. HOA rules allow temporary parking, and I run the HOA, so we can be flexible, can't we?" Before James could respond, she shut the door in his face. He stood there, stunned. This wasn't forgetfulness, it was deliberate. Linda was flexing her power, daring him to fight back. James tried to play by the rules. He filed a complaint on the HOA's website, detailing Linda's violations. Hours later, a response. "No violations found. HOA President Linda Carter." He laughed bitterly. "Of course." He called the HOA's general line, hoping to reach someone else, but it was like Linda was the entire organization. Next, he tried a tow company. "Sorry, sir," the dispatcher said. "We need HOA approval to tow." James nearly screamed. The HOA is the problem. But without Linda's signature, they wouldn't budge. The neighborhood knew Linda's tyranny. The elderly couple next door offered sympathetic nods. A neighbor, Tom, warned James. "She's a nightmare, man. She fined a guy for having the wrong mailbox color, and forced a single mom to redo her lawn. Be careful, she'll ruin you." Linda's reign was unchallenged. One guy who ran against her for HOA president. He moved out months later, broken. James's blood boiled. How did one woman hold so much power? Why was everyone so scared? Desperate, James called the police the next time Linda's SUV trapped him. After a 30-minute wait, an officer arrived, looking exhausted. James explained, pointing at the Range Rover. Before he could finish, Linda swept out of her house, all smiles. "Officer, is this about my car?" "I only parked there for a second, grabbing groceries. I'll move it now." James's jaw dropped. She was lying. There were no groceries, and the car had been there for hours. The officer sighed. "If she's moving it, we're done here. This is HOA property, so we can't do much." Linda shot James a triumphant smirk as she slowly drove off, not even apologizing. James stood there, rage simmering. The system was rigged. Linda was untouchable. That's when something snapped. No more playing nice. Open retaliation was risky. Linda could bury him in fines or fake complaints. He needed a plan, legal, quiet, and devastating. After another morning of staring at her SUV, it hit him. A way to hit Linda where it hurt without breaking a single law. At 2 a.m., James slipped out, dressed in black, tools in hand. Linda's Range Rover sat pristine under the streetlights, a symbol of her arrogance. With surgical precision, he jacked up the first wheel, removed the lug nuts, and set the SUV on brakes. One by one, he stripped all four wheels, silent as a ghost. No damage, no theft, just pure inconvenience. He hid the wheels in the bushes behind Linda's own house, smirked, and slipped back to bed, sleeping soundly for the first time in weeks. The next morning, chaos erupted. A scream shattered the neighborhood's peace. Who did this? Linda stood in her driveway, barefoot, wild-eyed, circling her wheel-less SUV like a caged animal. Neighbors peeked through blinds, stifling laughter. James strolled out, coffee in hand, feigning surprise. Linda spotted him and charged over, finger jabbing. You did this. James sipped his coffee, calm as ever. Me? That's a bold claim, Linda. Got proof? Her face turned purple, but she had nothing, no cameras, no witnesses. The police arrived, the same tired officer from before. Linda ranted about vandalism, but the cop wasn't impressed. Ma'am, nothing's stolen. The wheels are gone, but without evidence there's no crime. Linda spun to James, fuming, but he just shrugged. Tough break, huh? The officer left, and Linda's meltdown intensified. She interrogated neighbors, drafted absurd HOA proposals for security, and tried finding the block. No one cared. For once, her power was slipping. The best part? James hadn't stolen the wheels. They were right there, tucked in Linda's bushes. Her husband found them days later, reinstalling them after a heated argument. He banned Linda from parking near James's garage, and she never did again. She avoided James entirely, her smugness replaced by forced politeness. For the first time, James pulled out of his garage without obstruction. The air felt lighter, the victory sweeter. Linda's downfall was glorious. She ranted to neighbors, but they ignored her. Her HOA proposals flopped, her control crumbling. The neighborhood was free, and James had done it, not with fists or fines, but with brains. Sometimes, justice doesn't come from the system. Sometimes, you make it happen. James sipped his coffee, watching Linda hurry past, and smiled. He'd won. What do you think? Was James's prank a stroke of genius or a step too far? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's spark a debate. Where's the line between justice and revenge in neighborhood feuds? Hit that like button, subscribe for more wild stories, and let us know how you'd handle a Linda in your life.